some grape juice, George. Mama made it especially for you.
Good old Kate. Remember my grape juice.
Can you track me up a bit in this house? How have you been, George? Sit down.
Take me a minute. It seems impossible.
What?
I'm back here.
Say, you've gotten a little nervous, haven't you?
Yeah, toward the end of the day. What are you, big executive now?
It's kind of medium. How's the law?
I don't know. When I was studying in the hospital, it seemed sensible. But outside, there doesn't seem to be much of a law. Trees got thick, didn't they? What's that?
Blew down last night. We had here for Larry, you know?
Why, afraid you'll forget him?
What kind of remark is that?
When did you start wearing a hat?
Today. From now on, I decided to start looking like a lawyer anyway. Don't you recognize it?
Why?
Your father's. He asked me to wear it.
How is he?
He got smaller.
Smaller.
Yeah, a little. He's a little man. That's what happens to suckers, you know. It's good I went to him in time. Another year, there'd be nothing left but his smell.
What's the matter, George? What's the trouble?
The trouble? The trouble is when you make suckers out of people once. You shouldn't try to do it twice.
What does that mean?
You're not married yet, are you?
George, will you sit down and stop?
Are you married yet?
No, I'm not married yet.
You're not going to marry him.
Why am I not going to marry him?
Because his father destroyed your family.
Now look, George.
Cut it short, Chris. Tell her to come home with me. Let's not argue. You know what I've got to say.
George, you don't want to be the voice of God, do you?
I-
Because that's been the trouble all your life. You dive into things. What kind of statement is that to make? You're a big boy now.
I'm a big boy now.
Don't come bullying me. You've got something to say. Be civilized about it.
Don't civilize me.
Are you going to talk like a grown man, or aren't you?
Sit down here. Don't be angry. Now, what's the matter? You kissed me to left. Now you...
My life turned upside down since then. I couldn't go back to work when you left. I wanted to go to Dad and tell him you're going to be married. It seemed impossible not to tell him. Andy, he loved you so much. We made a terrible mistake. We can never be forgiven. Not even to send him a card at Christmas. I didn't see him once since I got back from the war. And you don't know what was done to that man. You don't know what happened.
Of course I know.
You can't know. You wouldn't be here. So Dad came to work that day. The night foreman came to him and showed him the cylinder heads. They were coming out of the process with defects. There was something wrong with the process. So Dad went directly to the phone and called here and told Joe to come down right away. But you do understand what I'm saying. On the phone, he told him to come down right away. By this time, he had over 100 defectives. The Army was screaming for stuff and he didn't have anything to ship. So Joe told him. He told him on the phone to cover up the cracks in any way he could and ship them out.
Are you through now?
I'm not through now. Dad was afraid. He wanted Joe there if he was going to do it. But Joe can't come down. He's sick. He suddenly gets the flu. Suddenly. But he promised to take responsibility. On a telephone, you can't have responsibility. In a court, you can always deny a phone call, and that's exactly what he did.
But the court...
Do you understand? In a court, you cannot have responsibility.
But he'll say anything. You know how quick he can lie.
I'll ask you something, and look me in the eye when you answer me.
I'll look you in the eye.
You know your father.
I know him well.
And he's the kind of boss to let 121 cylinder heads be repaired and shipped out of his shop without even knowing it.
It's that kind of boss.
And the same Joe Keller, who knows how many minutes a day his workers spend on the toilet.
The same Joe Keller.
The same man who never leaves his shop without first going around to see that all the lights are out.
The same man.
And my father, that frightened mouse who never buy a shirt without somebody along, that man would do such a thing on his own?
On his own. And here's another thing he'd do. Throw the blame on somebody else in court. But it didn't work. But with a fool like you, it works.
Don't talk like that.
Now, George, answer this. Why was the court record good to you all these years? Why did you believe it all these years?
Because you did. That's the truth, Chris. I believed everything because I thought you did. But today, I heard it from his mouth. From his mouth is altogether different than the record. Every time, anybody who knows him and knows your father will believe it from his mouth. Your dad took everything we have. I can't beat that, but she's one item he's not going to grab. Get your things. Everything they have is covered with blood. You're not the kind of girl who can live with that. Get your things. Come on.
And you're not going to believe that, are you?
You know it's not true, don't you?
How can he tell you? It's his father. None of these things ever even cross your mind?
Yes, they've crossed my mind. Anything that crosses your mind.
He knows, Andy. He knows.
He's the voice of God.
Well, what are you going to do?
George, I heard the whole thing in court.
The court didn't know your father, Andy. Let me go. Listen to this. Let me go up and talk to your father. In 10 minutes, you'll have the answer. Or are you afraid of the answer?
I'm not afraid of My mother is ill and I don't want to fight here.
Let me go up and talk to him.
You're not going to start a fight here.
What more do you want?